In this video, we'll show you how to set up single sign-on, or SSO, on your network to make user registration and user management much easier. Instead of manually adding users and using the default Pressbooks login, single sign-on allows users at your institution to log into your Pressbooks network with their existing institutional credentials, either via the Pressbooks login page or by redirecting directly to your institution's sign-in page. In order to configure SSO for your Pressbooks network, you'll need to work with a colleague who has administration access to your institution's identity provider, or IDP, as configuration involves the exchange of information between a service provider, in this case Pressbooks, and an identity provider, in this case your institution. There are 3 steps to setting up single sign-on in Pressbooks. Step 1, add Pressbooks service provider metadata to your institution's IDP and configure your IDP to send the expected claims. Step 2, add your IDP's metadata and certificate to Pressbooks. Step 3, review and adjust the sign-in settings for your Pressbooks network. In order to complete the first step, you will need to provide Pressbooks service provider metadata to an administrator of your institution's IDP. You can find the Pressbooks metadata by navigating to your network dashboard and clicking Integrations, SAML 2. The service provider metadata for your Pressbooks network is available on this page by clicking on the link Metadata XML Configuration. This XML file includes all the information needed to authorize your Pressbooks network as a service provider for your institution's IDP, our entity ID, our public X509 certificates, and the requested attributes Pressbooks needs to create or match existing users. Pressbooks requires you to send just 2 attributes: a unique identifier with this claim name and an email address with this claim name. If your IDP administrator runs into any problems or has questions with this step, our support team is always available to help. Once you've completed this first step, you're ready to start step 2, entering your IDP metadata into Pressbooks. This information should be entered into the fields provided at the top of the page at Integrations, SAML 2. If your identity provider supplies a metadata URL, you can enter it into this field. The fields below will then autofill. If your institution does not provide a metadata URL, you can enter the required information manually. Once you've entered your entity ID, single sign-on, and logout service URLs, and the public X509 certificate used to sign messages from your identity provider, click Save Changes. Once you've completed step 2, you now are ready for the last step, reviewing and adjusting the settings for signing into your network. You can choose what happens when a user logs in for the first time with SSO. The user can either be refused access, or they can be added as a new user. We recommend Add New User, so you don't have to create users manually. If you have limited email registration rules set up in your network settings, then you can choose here whether you want to bypass those for SSO sign-ins or not. If forced redirection is checked, users who click Sign In on your network will be taken directly to your SSO sign-in provider. If you don't have forced redirection enabled, you can customize the text in SSO login button displayed on the default sign-in page. This Pressbooks network is now configured for use with this identity provider. As in this case, forced redirection is not enabled. Users will land on the Pressbooks login page and click the Connect via SAML 2 button to be redirected to their institutional login page. When they log in for the first time, Pressbooks will create an account and log them in as a user on the network. They can continue to access their account going forward by logging in with SSO. If forced redirection is enabled, users will be immediately redirected to your institution's login page. If questions come up when configuring SSO on your network, feel free to reach out to Premium Support at premiumsupport@pressbooks.com for help. More information on SSO can be found in the Network Manager Guide at networkmanagerguide.pressbooks.com.